What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are all doing well. While I'm down in Miami, amidst furniture shopping and studying for my licensing exams for UBS, actually, on the shirt. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, amidst all of that, I decided to give you a Did You Know video. And this is actually going to be a highlight of, one of my posts from a couple weeks ago, about a month ago. I talked about the dual currency in Cuba, and I just wrote about it. So I thought I'd highlight it in a video. Maybe more people could watch it or listen to it at your own time. But anyways, yeah, so there's this dual currency system that exists in Cuba. The CUC, which is pronounced CUC, is the currency code for the Cuban convertible peso. And that basically is, so you have the Cuban peso on the one hand, and that is the national currency of Cuba. It's worth approximately 24 US dollars, so not worth very much. And then, so basically the Cuban government created this second currency, the CUC or CUC, and they just tied it. It doesn't, its value isn't determined by the market or any exchange. It's just arbitrarily tied to the value of the US dollar. So one CUC equals one US dollar. And then one US dollar equals 24 Cuban pesos. So in essence, one CUC is worth 24 Cuban pesos. So, ordinary Cubans that are, just in Cuba, well, let me just say that most of Cuba uses the national currency, but in Havana, they mainly use the CUCs because of all the tourism and things like that. And so, but Cubans in Havana even are getting paid their wages in the national currency. So, I mean, while it might sound like a lot in their currency, they're really only making, under 20 US dollars a month, which is tough to live on. And then where they get their food, that it's at the sort of like the ration markets, that's actually subsidized by the government, but they still have to pay a little bit, and those they pay for that in the national currency. But if I go to Cuba and I want to eat at a paladar, which is a private business, but it's created to sort of serve tourists or stay at one of these bed and breakfasts, I'm probably going to be expected to pay in CUCs. But a meal that would cost me around 10 US dollars or 10 CUCs would in turn cost a Cuban citizen that wants to eat there 2,400 Cuban pesos. So imagine going out to dinner one night with your family, your friends, and paying $2,400 for a meal. It's completely unsustainable, and it's very tough to live that way. So people are scrapping for CUCs. And another reason for the dual currency system, which under Obama's presidency, we actually expected. Cuba actually said that they were going to do away with that, and that was one of the terms for normalization. I don't really know what's going to happen with it at this point. But another reason for it is that there's limited trade now between the U.S. and Cuba on certain items, certain things, and all of that trade. The U.S. government doesn't give Cuba any credit, so the Cuban government has to pay in cash, in U.S. dollars, for everything essentially, and so that's problematic. They created the CUCs in essence because you travel to Cuba, you change your US dollars for CUCs, and then they get the US dollars, and then they can use it to buy goods from us in turn. And this has also led to Cuba's sort of mini embargo on the United States, which is that if I was a Canadian citizen coming from Canada and I wanted to visit Cuba, then I would be charged a normal exchange rate, like whatever the Canadian currency is worth to the US dollar, and then because CUCs are tied to the US dollar, that would be the exchange rate. And maybe there would be a small tax or fee just for changing the money. But if you're coming from the United States with US dollars, like I said, they need more dollars and they want these dollars. So if you change your currency at the airport, you're going to be charged a 13% fee. So if you give a $100 bill at the airport and you try to get CUCs, you're only going to get back 87 CUCs. So that's I call that Cuba's like little mini embargo on us. But just like the American embargo on Cuba, it really only hurts the people, the American travelers who lose a lot of money going there, and that could deter travelers, which could adversely affect businesses, and also it hurts the Cuban citizens. So it's tough overall, and I think that the dual currency system should definitely be done away with. And that was today's Did You Know?